Week 7 in MLS and a full set of 14 games to bring you, including Philadelphia, who took the league's only unbeaten record to Toronto. Seattle returned to action as the CONCACAF Champions League finalists played host to Inter Miami. And it's in the West with Easter Sunday in LA, where we begin our review.
An offside decision wipes out a would-be 98th minute tying goal.
Sapong sneaks it past Melia and in. Two teams fueled by frustration. LAFC.
LAFC with all hands on the pump.
And SKC.
Russell finds the back of the net.
Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Chris Wise.
First charge forward from Ndembe, who was caught as well, the Belgian.
Yeah, clear foul given, but I like the referee, allowed the play to develop, brought it back again.
It's Remy Volta's free kick. It was sent in with some pace as well. Back across by Russell, and then the shot by Russell, and out of the reach of Roger Espinosa at the far post.
Falls him awkwardly, so he doesn't put too much power on this, just feels it back into a dangerous area. Espinosa at the far post, probably just the pace of the ball takes that past him.
Vela, so graceful with his pass, and on by Costa, and now LAFC have opened up some space for themselves and go unable to look after it, and instead the opportunity might be knocking for SKC. Here goes Johnny Russell. Shelton is in the middle, Russell is still going with it, and still Johnny Russell, and with a deflection, SKC have the opening goal. The perseverance of Johnny Russell, the key.
And it came out of nothing. It certainly wasn't from their good play, but it's outstanding from Johnny Russell. This little injection of pace, he does well here. I think he's waiting for a bit of contact in the box, maybe the chance to go down for a penalty. That doesn't come. Yes, they get lucky in the end. This will give us a better view of the ricochet, but that little drag back is very good. Yeah, and then it just is the ricochet off Palacios as he goes to ground.
Here's Vela. He is hauled over by Johnny Russell, who couldn't get back to challenge the Mexican fairly. It's 2021's MLS Newcomer of the Year that's over it, Christian Arango for LAFC, and the only one over it as well. It's Arango! Oh, it was almost spectacular. Well, Melia wasn't getting there, but thankfully his post was there. Danger not done yet for SKC. Into the middle and flicked in. Now they have their goal. And it is Arango who met it as well.
It was only really a matter of time till they were going to get a good chance. This is a brilliant delivery. Pace going into it. Look at Fowles' jump, though. We'll talk about his athleticism. Clearly onside. Poaching. Middle of the 6-yard box. Get yourself some easy goals. No disgrace in that whatsoever. But look how high Fowl is there. And actually gets the control on the header as well.
Well, this game is creeping towards the final 20 minutes at the Bank of California Stadium. Forward towards Tajuri Shradi. Oh, that is spectacular. Wonderful piece of inventiveness, ingenuity, exceptional. Ismail Tajuri Shradi with a piece of brilliance to put LAFC in front.
It's a lovely little floated ball. Zuzi shouldn't be getting done like that, but what a strike. Tim Melia going full length to his right-hand side, the dip and swerve on that.
Cifuentes. And still Cifuentes. Oh, he's got it in. And SKC is surely going to be beaten again. Jose Cifuentes glided through untouched.
Just another poor pass, misplaced, but you can't have this. You've got to go and pressure the ball at some point. Look at that, he's picking the ball up 30 yards from goal. Get a bit closer, get a bit closer. Centre-half's nowhere in sight, no chance at all for the goalkeeper.
LAFC's day for sure. Back to winning ways. It's finished LAFC 3, Sporting Kansas City 1.
We're happy with the victory. It was the right response from last week. after our first defeat of the season, so I was quite pleased with the energy, the mentality of the guys, not to accept anything less than 3 points today against a good team. So we're happy with the result.
After beating LAFC in El Tráfico last week, the LA Galaxy faced a cross-conference trip to the Chicago Fire. Chicharito, who opened the scoring in that derby win, briefly thought he'd done so again here at the start of the second half, only for this effort to be disallowed for offside. A close but correct call. Just 3 minutes later, Chicharito played the pass, which released Douglas Costa in on goal. This time, the flag stayed down. Ultimately, the outcome was the same. After a video review overturned the goal. Chicago preserved a 5th clean sheet in 7 games this season, but they've now failed to score in 5 of them as well.
Goals were far less of a problem for Ronnie Dyler and New York City FC against Real Salt Lake. From the moment Tati Castellanos headed in his first league goal of the season, the MLS Cup champions were in total command. RSL were among the Western Conference leaders, but had no answers to the home team's South American stars. Thales Magno setting up Thiago Andrade for number 2. At Yankee Stadium, NYCFC were in their happy place, and Castellanos was the happiest of all. The strikers cut a frustrated figure at times, having failed to score in 5 previous MLS games. But when Keaton Parks was fouled in trying to reach the rebound, there was only one man taking the resulting penalty kick.
Tati looking for his second goal of the game, and he finds it, and New York City goes up 3-0 in the 40th minute.
In the second half, it was more of the same. NYC finding holes in the RSL defence.
Thiago Andrade, and he has number 2 on the day, and New York City leads 4-0. The Brazilian connection does it again.
This was some way to overcome a major setback. City beaten by Seattle in the Champions League semi-finals, but giving a lesson in how to move on. A second penalty for this foul on Castellanos left him with a chance for a hat-trick.
A little stutter step again, and McMath gets a hand to it, but can't keep it out. 3 for Tati, 5 for New York City.
City, with a renewed focus on MLS, could prove an irresistible force. Certainly RSL were overwhelmed. A defensive horror show ended with Castellanos making it 6-0, the first player in NYCFC history to score 4 times in a single MLS game.
After that midweek win over NYCFC to reach the Champions League final, the Seattle Sounders fielded a much-changed side at home to Inter Miami, who went in front inside the final 5 minutes of the first half. Former Sounder DeAndre Yedlin providing the service for Robbie Robinson to score his first goal of the season and set his side on course for back-to-back victories. It ended Seattle's 7-game unbeaten run in all competitions, as Miami's mammoth cross-country trip of over 3,000 miles was rewarded with a first-ever win at a Western Conference club. Will Bruin failing to find the equaliser here.
In San Jose, time looks to be running out for coach Matias Almeida. Nashville's Hani Mukhtar ran away from the Quakes' defence. An overdue first of the season for him. By contrast, Jeremy Abobasi has been red hot for the Quakes. This second-half beauty was his 4th goal in 3 games. All the more impressive on a struggling team. And San Jose are struggling. The only winless team in MLS were punished again for losing track of Nashville's leading man.
That is a brace for Mukhtar, the German.
The Quakes' defensive record is the worst in the league, and though Ebobisi's second of the game earned them a battling 2-2 draw, there seemed little distance between coach Almeida and the exit door.
Minnesota United and the Colorado Rapids went into their meeting at Allianz Field level on points, but the visitors seemed set to go down a man in the first half, and Jack Price was shown a straight red card by referee Chris Penso for his challenge on Luis Amarillo, a decision downgraded to yellow after a video review. Colorado had won all 3 games between the clubs last season, but fell behind 3 minutes before the break in this one. Emmanuel Reynoso crossing for defender Bakay Dibassi to head the Loons into the lead. And yet it wasn't one they were able to hold to half-time, as Diego Rubio bundled home the equaliser just before the break. His fourth of the season was initially disallowed for offside. But again, a VAR check had a favourable conclusion for Colorado due to a touch off Dibassi. Rubio was to have a central role in the story in the second half as he searched for his and his side's second goal, first hitting the bar from Price's corner. And then, shortly afterwards, seeing an effort touched onto the post by Dane Sinclair as Robin Fraser's side piled on the pressure. Minnesota were attempting to avoid a third straight defeat and had their goalkeeper to thank for keeping them on terms at this stage. 4 of his 7 saves came in a 4-minute spell in the second half. Having repelled Rubio again, he then saved from Andre Shinyashiki as well. Super showing from Sinclair, laying the foundations for what followed at the other end, going into the closing quarter of an hour.
Dodson's ball across.
Robin Lurd on target for the first time since the opening weekend, as Minnesota managed more than 1 goal in a game for the first time all season, and they weren't finished there.
And now it's Abu Danladi!
Danladi's first goal since returning to the club for this year wrapped up a 3-1 Minnesota win. The Rapids without a victory now in 4.
With 10 goals and 10 points from their last 4 games, the Houston Dynamo were showing signs of improvement. So when top scorer Darwin Quintero was gifted this early chance by the Portland Timbers, it was something of a surprise he didn't take it. In their second season together, Quintero and Fafa Pico look a lively combination, and the Frenchman was also denied by Timbers keeper Aljas Ivacic. A chance Pico had expected to score. In the second half, he'd come closer still, with a header magnificently kept out by Ivacic, tipping it onto the post. Paulo Nagamura's side the more dangerous in front of goal, but also having to defend with 10 men for the last 15 minutes after teenager Debe was sent off for a second yellow card. No goals this time for Houston, but the Dynamo now 5 games unbeaten. To Audi Field, where DC United hadn't won since the opening day of the season, while Austin FC were seeking their first victory on the road since May last year. Watching this one was Phil Blacker.
Gressel calling for it and gets it, and he has men in the middle here. Julian Gressel, deep delivery towards Nahar, and there's Ola Kamara, and DC lead. 3rd goal of the season for Kamara, who took it smartly. Get in some trouble for the celebration, but it's an emphatic finish. It's for Gundes, with space to surge into. All sorts of options for Austin. Driussi to Alex Ring, and laid back for Gundes by Aruti, but was Aruti offside? That's the shout, and I don't think this one is going to count. We'll go to video review, but the evidence is fairly clear-cut, isn't it? On review, the goal chalked off. Frustration for Josh Wolf and his team. This corner taken short to Chris Durkin, and back again. Gressel's picked out Kamara again, he's scored again! Ola Kamara at the double. And DC 2 to the good 5 minutes before half-time. It's for Gundes. Lovely run by Diego Fagundes. He's found Alex Ring. Cascante off the crossbar. Driussi hits Canals, and Hamid will claw it away, and somehow it stayed out. Incredible passage of play. Cascante must have thought if he got anything on that he would score. He did get something on it, but it stayed out. Diego Fagundes. Driussi to chase it. It's Kamara back doing his defensive duties, but that was a little clumsy. Ola Kamara, having picked up that yellow card for taking the shirt off in celebrating his first goal, might be in trouble here. Yeah, it's a second yellow. Tori Penso produces the red card. Kolmanic standing over the free kick into the last 10 minutes of the match. There's a dangerous delivery, and Hamid takes evasive action, swipes it away. Needed to get something on that as Austin looked for a way back in. Diego Fagundes with the corner. There's Danny Houston, and there is one back for Austin. The substitute has scored his first Austin goal after that injury nightmare last year. This is Gabrielson. Jimenez in towards Driussi, who will get the touch for 2-2. And Austin back on level terms. It's a 5th goal of the season for Sebastian Driussi already, and it's a huge goal for the team from Texas. They come again, they're queuing up in the middle. Danny Houston bounces back to him. Houston, oh, so close. Hamid a spectator. Now Fagundes, that one's blocked. And this is Driussi to Kolmanic, and back again. An incredible pressure that Hernan Lozada's side are having to withstand at the end. 10 men of DC hanging on. Fagundes will swing it in. Gabrielson's up there, and it's squanted away from Hamid and in. And Austin complete the comeback right at the end. The first away win for almost a year, just moments away, thanks to a first ever MLS goal from Ruben Gabrielson. DC United 2, Austin 3.
This is a good group. We're going to continue to get better. We certainly can't start games like that, against that opponent or any opponent very often. But the bounce back in the second half, the resiliency, the hard work, the collective, incredible.
Top of the East, the Philadelphia Union took the league's only unbeaten record to BMO Field, and top-level combination play saw them take the lead against Toronto FC.
Chips it forward, Carranza! 1-0, Philadelphia.
But Julian Carranza's opener sparked an instant response from the home side, themselves 3 games unbeaten. Alejandro Pozuelo bringing the best out of Andre Blake, the Spaniard hitting form. No doubt Jonathan Osorio is playing well too, setting up the equalising goal.
Oh, yes! Jesus Jimenez!
A 4th of the season for Jimenez, and the crowd were fully engaged in a pulsating game. Kai Wagner's skimming strike seemed to have made it 2-1 Philadelphia, but offside players had blocked the view of Alex Bono. No goal. Instead, after the break, a Pozuelo special made it 2-1 TFC.
Pozuelo! That's your MVP, Pozuelo.
The Union weren't giving up without a fight, but when Mikael Ura was kept out by Bono's outstretched leg, Toronto had extended their own winning run at home to 3 games. The last unbeaten record this season had gone.
It was an all-Canadian affair at Stade Saputo, and one that sprung to life from the get-go.
Mihalovic, and it's 1-0 Montreal, just a minute on the clock.
Georgi Mihalovic's fine form continuing with the opening goal against Vancouver, the 4th of the season so far in MLS, matching his total from the whole of last year already. But the first he'd ever scored at Stade Saputo. Mihalovic was also central to CF Montreal's second early in the second half, finished off by Rommel Kyoto. The Whitecaps arrived having won just once all season, and with work to do to avoid a 4th defeat in 5. But 20 minutes into the second half, they had hope again. Last season's top scorer Brian White opening his account for the current campaign. That's how it stayed into stoppage time, when visiting Vancouver appeared to have rescued a point thanks to St. Ricketts' header, not long after stepping off the subs bench. But Vanni Sartini's wild celebrations were soon to be cut short. Ricketts proven to be offside on review, as Montreal hung on for a 3rd successive win after all. The goal chalked off, meaning Sartini's side remain without a point on the road all season.
The Columbus crew began the season in impressive fashion, but a run of tricky opponents have slowed them down. And with Lucas Zelarayan's quest for goal of the season not quite complete, they'd gone 2 full games without scoring. While at the other end, clean sheets have been hard to come by. Opponents Orlando City, the latest to pierce the crew backline. Rodrigo Schlegel turning home an emotional first goal in MLS. Columbus had lost narrowly to both Nashville and Philadelphia, and with Zelarayan prompting like this, the recent lack of goals is hard to fathom. Derek Etienne's effort narrowly wide. Conceding the opening goal so often isn't helping. The crew were trying to come from behind for the 6th game running. In the second half, Zelarayan tried his luck again, but Pedro Galese reacted well to the swerving ball. Orlando, though, deserve huge credit. Their victory here was their 4th of the season, and the clincher an outstanding team goal.
What a goal! 2nd in as many games. Stunning sequence for Orlando City, and they've stunned the crowd. 2-0.
Atlanta United came into their game against FC Cincinnati on a 10-match unbeaten home run in MLS dating back to last August, but almost went behind inside the opening half an hour. A double chance for FCC's record signing Brenner and his recall to the starting lineup for the first time this season. Atlanta's 17-year-old homegrown player Caleb Wiley was making his first ever start for the Five Stripes, and it was his fine work on the hour that led to the game's major moments, and a handball in the box by Dominic Badji. Marcelino Moreno had scored all 5 of his previous MLS penalties, but not this time, as Alec Can came up with a big save on his first return to the club, where he spent the last 5 years. Shortly afterwards, Cincinnati were close to snatching the lead, thanks to this excellent effort from skipper Luciano Acosta, which had Brad Guzan beaten. The keeper, who previously kept Can out of the Atlanta team, was stretchered off shortly afterwards with a serious-looking Achilles injury. But it was the visitors who went down to 10 men when Nick Hagland was shown a second yellow card going into the closing quarter of an hour after bringing down Thiago Almada. They clung on for a point in his absence after a big miss in added time from former Cincinnati loanee Andrew Gutman. And somehow this one ended goalless.
Having beaten Atlanta last week, Charlotte FC travelled to the team they'd beaten so memorably in week 4. But the New England Revolution were out for revenge.
Buxa the header! The Revs with the lead! Adam Buxa opens his account for 2022.
The win over the Revs, Charlotte's first in MLS, had been inspired by Karol Swiderski, but Brad Knighton was well positioned to keep him out this time. Bruce Arena's side haven't been themselves this year. The loss to Charlotte, one of 4 consecutive defeats. They allowed Daniel Rios a clear sight of goal, though he struck the outside of the post. And the MLS newcomers must have felt they deserved to be level by the time Knighton kept out Guzman Corujo shortly after half-time. But any chance they had of taking more points from New England disappeared in calamitous fashion.
Still loose and it ricochets in! The Revs double their lead, Matt Polster!
All 9 of Charlotte's points have come at home so far, but their first win on the road can't be far away. Christian Ortiz pulled one back with 5 minutes left. But the celebrations were short-lived as the Revs' losing streak came to an end.
To our final game, where the New York Red Bulls continued their search for a first home win of the season as FC Dallas made the trip from Texas. Lewis Morgan's improvised effort was well dealt with eventually, as Nico Estevez's team attempted to stretch their unbeaten run to 5 matches. That sequence certainly came under threat going into the final 5 minutes of the 90, when goalkeeper Martin Pai saved well from John Tolkien, and sub Patrick Klamala could only direct a sharp chance from the rebound against the frame of the goal. Dallas almost made maximum use of that reprieve when Hada Obrian came so close to winning it at the other end in added time, but they remain without an away goal this season.
The Red Bulls stay 3rd in the East after that draw, and it's as you were with the top 4, though Orlando are now only 2 points behind leaders Philadelphia. Miami are off the bottom, replaced by DC.
Austin's comeback win against the capital club lifts them to second in the West, with LAFC still leading the way. Dallas climbed to fourth, whilst RSL dropped 3 places to sixth after their heavy defeat in the Bronx.
And we leave you with that 6-goal salvo from the champions.
And Thiago Andrade gets around, and there it is! 2-0 New York City. Thiago Andrade, and New York City leads 4-0.
Including a quartet from the man with the golden boot.
Tati Castellanos! And what a day for Tati.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.